And so then, before we begin, because it's been a long time since I've introduced the characters in the show, a quick reminder of who's who. Max and Doreen Price are the owners of Glitterballs. Tom Shepherd is the music promoter. Dave is Tom's friend and assistant. Gary is a barman. Sally is a barmaid. Tim is Dave's brother and the lad who works in the box office. George and Virgil are bouncers, and Pete and Reggie are the sound engineer and his friend, his kind of helper, who also does the lights. And that's it. Glitterballs then, episode 4, and a story called Ironfist. 1. Interior betting shop, day. Tom and Dave are in a betting shop watching a TV monitor. On the screen, horses amble about in pre-race mode. Dave: I thought you'd backed all this GG business in now that Glitterballs is doing all right. Tom: Everybody needs a hobby, Dave, and it's precisely because Glitterballs is doing all right that I've got a little bit of cash to indulge mine. Dave: Well, let's hope you win. You'll need a fair old wad to bail yourself out now that you've gone and booked Pincushion. Tom: What are you on about? That just shows how little you know about the music business, Dave. Everybody's been turning around to me and saying, when are you getting Pincushion, Tom? They're brilliant. Seriously, the whole industry is buzzing with talk of the cushions. They're going to be so big. Believe me, Dave, in this game, you've got to see the signs early. Catch the scent on the breeze. Put your ear to the ground and listen to the distant rumble of the fast-approaching pop scene of tomorrow. Dave: Oh, I see. So the fact that they're bollocks doesn't enter into it then? Tom: Absolutely not. And anyway, they're brilliant. Just goes to show what you know about good music. Dave: Well, as long as you know, that's the main thing. So, which horse are you betting on? Tom: Burgundy Whopper, 20-1. Dave: Sounds a bit risky. What makes you fancy that? Tom: Well, that shows what you know about horses, Dave. I've got my ear to the ground here. Everyone's been turning round to each other, going on about Burgundy Whopper. The whole shop's buzzing with it. Dave: So what are they all saying? Tom: Oh, racing talk, Dave. Jargon. You wouldn't understand. Dave: I see. Well, I see they're lining up now. Maybe I'll learn something from just watching Champion the Wonder Horse there in action. On the monitor, the horses line up in preparation for the race. Tom: Yeah, maybe. Here we go. On the monitor, the horses suddenly all bolt out as the race starts, except, as the commentator informs us, Burgundy Whopper, which staggers out and drops dead. Commentator, voiceover: And they're off, and it looks like Burgundy Whopper isn't going anywhere. He's fallen, and I believe, yes, he's dead. Meanwhile, Sugar Buns takes over the lead from Monty's Whiskers. Dissolves into background stock racing babble. Dave: Oh, fancy that. So what was all that racing talk about Burgundy Whopper? I don't suppose that jargon you mentioned included any phrases like, glue factory or dog meat? Tom: Yeah. Laugh at my ill fortune, mate. Dave: I'm sorry, Tom. Come on down to the pub and I'll buy you a drink. Tom: Yeah, all right. In a minute, though. You go on. I've got to make a phone call. He takes a mobile phone from his pocket and selects a number. Dave, exiting: All right, mate. Tom, into phone: Hello, Rampant Talent? Yeah, Donny, please. It's Tom Shepherd. Donny? Yeah, Tom. Listen, mate, about Pincushion. I'm afraid I can't do that date after all. No, it seems Dave, my colleague, has gone and booked a local band in on that night. No, it's all contracted up and everything. Yeah, I know. Nightmare. I'm really sorry, man. What? What band is it? He looks up for a second, then... Burgundy Whopper. What? You haven't heard of them? Oh, there's a big buzz around here about them. Everybody's been turning around to me and saying, Burgundy Whopper? Brilliant! Glitterballs, a situation comedy written for television but performed for podcast by Mike Bennett. Episode 4, Ironfist. Interior, pub, day. Following on from scene 1, Dave, Pete and Reggie are sitting at a table, pints before them. Dave is central, holding a newspaper, the Dinglebury Herald, which all three of them are reading. Occasionally, one of them sniggers or laughs out loud. Tom enters the shot, carrying a pint of beer. He pulls out a chair and sits down. Tom. Reading the obituaries, lads? Dave. Depends on how you look at it. Tom. What do you mean? Dave hands Tom the paper and points to the front page. Tom takes it and looks. Tom. Oh, Jesus. We see the page he is looking at. Beneath a bold heading, Secret Orgy at Local Ballroom, is the photograph that Alison took in the upstairs corridor in the last episode. It depicts Roy wearing nothing but his shirt, Dave and Carol entwined on the floor, and Tom lying sprawled, reaching out with a pair of underpants in his hands. Beneath the photo are 3 columns of text. Tom. This is terrible. Pete. Oh, I don't know. You can't see Dave too well, but they've captured you looking really natural. Tom. I mean the publicity. It makes the place sound like an asylum for the sexually demented. Dave. Well, old Max is a funny bloke, Tom. Tom. But it's not just that. Have you read this bit here? Dave. What bit's that? I only got as far as young man on underpants rampage. Tom. The bit about Ironfist. Dave, suddenly serious. Ironfist? Tom reads. Local councillor Janice Irons said, "We have had numerous complaints about excessive noise levels from Glitterballs in recent months, and there have been a number of occasions where local residents have been awakened by riotous youths leaving the premises in the middle of the night. This latest incident comes as no surprise, as, in my experience, such obscene conduct goes hand in hand with the pop music industry. Needless to say, the citizens of Dinglebury can rest assured that we will be giving the Glitterballs problem our immediate and most serious attention." Tom lowers the paper, and they all look grim for a moment before Reggie breaks the silence. Reggie. Are they a Motorhead tribute band then? Dave. Eh? Reggie. Ironfist. You remember? Devil's Grip, the Iron Fist. Tom, cutting in. Yes, Reg, Devil's Grip just about hits the nail on the head, actually. He looks into the middle distance and speaks ominously. She's a devil in a blue rinse, dragging all the music venues, nightclubs and discos for miles around, down into a sulphurous pit of acts, laws and legislation. Who do you think it was that closed down our last promotional venture? Reggie. So it wasn't a Motorhead tribute band then? Tom. No, it was her. Councillor Janice Irons. Ironfist. Dave. What are we going to do? Tom, dropping his doominess and picking up his pint. Get pissed and let Max deal with it. Cheers. He drinks. Pete. I don't see what you got to worry about. Everything's totally kosher at Glitterballs. It's even soundproofed. Tom. Yeah, but that doesn't make any difference, Pete. She's like the Witchfinder General. She'll take a music venue and chuck it in the lake. If it sinks, it's legal. But if it floats, it's a menace to society and will be burned at the stake. They pause to reflect on Tom's words. Then, Reggie. So this last place you were at, did it sink or did she burn it? Tom. Neither, mate. It managed to swim to the other side of the lake where a passing hunter mistook it for a moose and shot it. Reggie. Bummer. Dave. I wonder what old Max is going to say to all this. He taps paper. Tom. I'd say it depends on how he finds out about it. Scene 3. Exterior. Street outside Glitterballs. Day. A paperboy is riding his bicycle down the street. As he nears Glitterballs, he takes a rolled-up newspaper from his sack and hurls it at the doors. Cut to the doors. Max casually opens one of the doors and the paper strikes him in the eye. He falls backwards into the foyer and the door closes. Scene 4. Interior. Max and Doreen's office. Day. Doreen is at her desk reading a black lace novel. Max enters, pressing a raw steak to his injured eye. In his other hand, he brandishes the rolled-up newspaper. Doreen doesn't look up. Max, Damn that blasted paperboy and his American delivery techniques. If the paper isn't soaking wet and lying in a puddle on your doorstep, it's striking you down like King Harold's eviction notice from the Normans. Doreen, still reading. Yes, dear. Max strides to his desk. Max. Well, I intend to see to it that the little bastard loses his job for this. He'll never fling a local paper in this town again. He sits. Max takes the stake from his eye and puts it on his desk. It leaves a bloody stain on his face. As he talks, he removes the elastic band from the rolled newspaper and tosses the paper onto his desk, where it unrolls. He picks up the telephone receiver. Max continued. Struck me in the eye like a paper exo said it did. Unbelievable. He sees the headline. What the? He stares at the story and lowers the telephone receiver back onto the cradle. Oh my God! I'm ruined! Doreen, still reading. Don't be silly, Max. Lots of people manage fine with just one eye. Max, staring at paper. No! We've been scandalised! Doreen looks up sharply from her book. Doreen. He didn't break a window as well, did he? Max. What? He turns to Doreen and she sees the bloody mark around his swelling eye. Doreen, horrified. Oh my God, Max! The blood! She gets up and hurries around to Max. Oh, you poor darling, I thought you were exaggerating. Max. What? Doreen moves between Max and his desk and tenderly inspects his eye. She sits on the edge of the desk, on top of the stake, which oozes under her weight. Doreen. The blood! Max! Oh, I think we should get you to a hospital. Max. Don't be silly, Doreen. It isn't bleeding. That's from the stake. Doreen. What stake? Max. The stake I put on my eye to stop the swelling. It's there on my desk by the newspaper report that officially puts us 6 feet under. Doreen gets up and turns around. Doreen. Where? What newspaper story? We see the stake stuck to her dress for a moment before it falls to the floor with a splat, leaving a horrible bloodstain. Max puts his hand over his eyes. Doreen, seeing the newspaper story. Oh, good heavens, Max! This is awful! Max. I know. It's those 2 reporters we entertained last week. They make it sound like they were press-ganged into Razzle Magazine's Christmas party. Doreen picks up the paper and walks away reading it. Doreen. Oh, dear. The phone rings. Max looks at it fearfully. Doreen turns and looks at him. Doreen. Well, answer it. Max. What if it's the police? Doreen. Invite them over for cocktails and a game of Naked Twister. If they've read this, it's what they'll be expecting. Max. I can't. I'm too traumatised. Doreen sighs and picks up the phone. Doreen, into phone. Hello, Glitterballs. Yes, this is the manageress. Oh, she smiles. Councillor Irons. Max makes a small groaning noise. How can I help you? A sound inspection? Well, whenever you like. Everything here conforms to EEC and government standards, as you know. You yourself did the inspection not 6 months ago. Well, there's a concert this Friday. Yes. Yes. That's fine. Goodbye. She hangs up. Max. Irons? Doreen. Yes, she's coming along this Friday evening to measure the sound levels at a concert. Max. This Friday? Who have we got? Doreen looks at the calendar on the wall. Beep. Name of real life guest band. Max. Who are they? Would they be too loud? Doreen. What do you call too loud, Max? Max. Anything louder than a librarian dunking a digestive in his coffee will be too loud this Friday. Doreen, walking to Max's side. Well, in that case, yes, they're deafening. Max groans. Oh, fetch me a gin. I'm weakening. Doreen sees the steak on the floor by Max's chair. Doreen. Well, there's that steak you were talking about. I thought you said it was on your desk. Max. Well, it was, till you sat on it and it stuck to your backside. Doreen gasps and feels her bottom. Her fingers come away bloody. She gives a cry of alarm. Doreen. Max, this is a new skirt. Why didn't you warn me. Why didn't you say something? Max. Well, I tried to, but you were so busy fussing about my eyes you didn't hear me. Doreen. Oh, so it's my fault, is it? Well, forgive me for giving a damn. You bastard! She strikes him in his good eye. Max howls in pain. Doreen storms out of the office and slams the door. Max rises slowly, looking like Jack Nicholson in the latter stages of The Shining. Tom Shepard. This is all his fault. Wait till I get my hands on him. I'll kill him. I'll kill him! Scene 5. Interior. Upstairs. Hallway. Day. Sometime later, same day as previous scenes. Tom puts his head around into the doorway from the stairs and looks about. Seeing the coast is clear, he cautiously enters the hallway and creeps along to his office. He opens the door, peers inside, and turns on the light. With a final glance up and down the hallway, he enters his office. Scene 6. Interior, Tom's office, day. And now before we go any further, I need to stress that the office that Tom works in is a very small, narrow room, not much bigger really than a cupboard. Anyway, Tom closes the door and looks about the room. We can see he is alone. He visibly relaxes. Then we hear a short gasp from above. Tom looks confused, then slowly looks upward. Cut to Max, outstretched above, hands pressed to one wall, feet pressed to the other. He is trembling with the effort. His face is purple. Both his eyes are black. Max screams and lets go, falling down onto Tom. They both collapse in a heap, and Max struggles to get his hands around Tom's throat. They grapple, rolling to and fro about the floor. Tom. Max, Jesus, stop it! How the hell did you get up there? Max. Hate spurred me up there. Tom. How did you stay up there? Max. Hate held me fast. Tom. How long have you been up there? Max. Hate kept me up for hours. Tom. This hate you use, is it available over the counter from chemists, or would you go to some specialist marital aids place? Max lunges with renewed fury. Tom rolls aside and manages to hold Max at bay. Tom. Max, I can see something's upset you, hasn't it? It wouldn't have anything to do with the local paper, would it? Max grunts and struggles for Tom's throat. Which bit is it exactly that's niggling at you? Max. Niggling at me? Niggling at me? My ballroom is all but likened to the devil's steaming anus, and you wonder what's niggling at me? Tom. Oh, Max, it's all just publicity. The punters love a bit of controversy with their music. It adds a certain ambience. Max. The only ambience you need to worry about is the one you'll be rushing to hospital in once I'm finished with you. You and your gigs, you've ruined me, besmeared my good name with your filth, dragged my reputable business through the gutter and the muck, right into the slavering jaws of Councillor Bloody Irons. Tom. Ironfist? Oh, don't worry about her, Max. Our paths have crossed before. Max pauses in his attack. Max. Oh, when was that then? Tom. Oh, she did an inspection of the last place where I was promoting. Max. What happened? Tom. Oh, she shut us down. Max screams and renews the attack. Tom. Max, wait. It's all right. Max. All right, you cheerfully inform me that in addition to being an absolute swine, you're a Jonah, a jinx, the business equivalent of a plague ship, and I'm supposed to think it's all right? Tom. Yeah, you're soundproofed, aren't you? Max pauses again, thinks, then nods. Tom, placatingly. Well, there you are then. The other place wasn't. She shut it down because they couldn't afford to conform to EEC regulations. Max slowly relaxes his hostility. Max. She's coming here on Friday night, specifically to check on our sound limits. Tom, still placatingly. Well, no problem. I spoke to Pete about it this afternoon. All we need to do is keep the volume down the way she likes it, and we'll be laughing. They get to their feet. As they do, Max speaks. Max. She'll find something to hang us with. She's got the smell of blood in her nostrils. She wants us shut. Tom. Well, we'll just have to be sure that Friday night runs to EEC textbook standards in every way, won't we? Max, dusting himself down. Max moves to the door and opens it. Tom. Oh, Max, next time I piss you off, why don't you just stick a bucket of flour and water on top of the door, eh? Be an awful lot less hassle. Max. Oh, I thought about that. But what I wanted to put in a bucket would never have washed out of the carpet. Max exits, slamming the door. 7. Interior. Central ground floor hallway. Evening. It is Friday evening. The band have arrived and are setting up in the ballroom. Max has called a staff meeting. Doreen, Gary, Sally, Tim, George, Virgil, Pete, Reggie, Tom and Dave, if you can remember all those people are in attendance as Max paces back and forth in front of them. He has 2 shiners and is wearing his best suit. We join them as the meeting nears its end. Max. We cannot afford to leave anything to chance. If Mrs. Irons finds fault with anything at all, it could be curtains. Sally. Surely she's not all that bad, Mr. Price. I mean, she isn't likely to inspect the entire premises when she only recently okayed them, is she? Max. As I said, Sally, we can't afford to take that chance. Anything is possible. Suffice it to say, she isn't here for a night out. Virgil. Well, at least we don't have to worry about her getting pissed up and stage diving all night then. Everyone has a titter except Max. Max. No, Virgil. George. So what does she look like then, Mr. Price? How will we know her? Max. She's in her mid-50s, horn-rimmed spectacles, blue rinse hairdo, and a face that suggests her mother's breasts were actually lemons. Tom. And she always carries a big handbag that matches her hair. George digests this for a moment, then George. Anything else? Scars? Birthmarks? Max. You mean we haven't narrowed it down enough for you, George? Clearly I'm not spending enough time down here with the punters. I wasn't aware of this radical new movement in feminine street fashion. Or is there some terrible new disease afflicting young women that strikes them down in the latter years of puberty and leaves them looking like Dame Edna Everage? Doreen. Yes, Max, I think George gets the picture. Let's just wrap this meeting up by summarising. If everybody does their job properly, then everybody will continue to have a job. Thank you. Now, let's get to work, folks. We've got lots of things to do before the doors open, haven't we? Everybody disperses, talking quietly to one another as they go. Max and Doreen remain. Max looks grim. Doreen raises a hand to him. He flinches. She smiles and pats his face gently. Doreen. Everything will be fine, Max. Stop worrying. Max. Doreen steers Max to the stairs. Doreen. Everything's been checked and double-checked. We're spotlessly clean, totally soundproofed, and ruthlessly efficient. Thanks to you. Now, come on upstairs and have a cup of tea, and we'll relax for a while. Max exits onto stairs. Doreen, to herself. Before the poo hits the fan. She exits onto stairs. Scene 8, interior, foyer, night. George and Virgil stand near the doors. Tim is sitting in the box office. Through the doors we can see punters queuing outside. George looks at his watch. George. Right, 8:30. All set, Tim? Tim. Yeah. George. What do we do when this old council buzzard arrives? Tim. We phone upstairs and inform the management that Eagle has landed. George. Perfect. All right. He opens the doors and punters start filing in. Let's be having you then, ladies and gents. One at a time, please. One at a time. Scene 9. Interior, ballroom, bar, night. The venue lights are down and the hall is lit only from the stage lighting and the bar area. Punters are thronging at the bar. Gary and Sally are serving. 2 youngsters who look around 16 years old are waiting to be served. The eldest looking of the 2, Simon, stands at the bar. The other, Gavin, behind him. Simon catches Sally's eye. Sally. Yes, please. Simon.
2 pints, please.
Sally. Of what? Coke? Lemonade? Simon laughs cockily.
Lager.
Sally. Do you have any ID? Simon.
Oh, come on. I'm 18. I don't carry any because I don't usually get asked for it.
Sally. Well, take it as a compliment to your youthful good looks then. Simon shifts with embarrassment. Simon. Sally. 2 Cokes then, was it? Simon. Oh, all right. Sally pours the drinks. Simon continued. So, what are you doing later? Sally puts the 2 drinks on the bar. Sally. Letting my boyfriend out of his box and beating him with his favourite stick. £2, please. Simon looks at her oddly, gives her the money and turns quickly away. He and Gavin move through the crowd to a corner table near the back. They sit down. Simon. That barmaid's mental. I was going to ask her out, but she's mental. Gavin. It's a pity you didn't. She might have served us some pints if you had. I'd love some booze. Simon. Don't worry, Gav. He reaches inside his anorak and comes out with a half bottle of vodka. I've got some emergency supplies. Gavin speaks as Simon splashes vodka into his Coke. Gavin. Simon? Bloody hell. They laugh naughtily. Scene 10. Interior, dressing room, night. This scene incorporates the real musicians from the real guest band. The band are sitting about in the dressing room, drinking beer, watching TV, having a laugh, etc. There is a knock at the door. Band member 1. Come in. Tom puts his head around the door. Tom. All right, lads. Need anything at all? Band member 2. A few more beers would be nice. The rest of the band ad-lib affirmatives. Tom. Sure, I'll see what I can rustle up. Anything else you need, just give us a shout. Tom withdraws his head. The band resume chat, etc. Scene 11. Interior, backstage corridor, night. Continues from scene 10. Dave is with Tom. Dave. All right. Tom, disinterestedly, walking towards fire exit. They want more beer. He exits. Dave, louder. Have we got any? Tom, out of view. No, but I have got a crate of muck and brow pills. He enters, standing in doorway with a shrink-wrapped pack of 24 cans of beer. It's 2.5% and it's yellow. Dave. So's my piss on a Saturday night, but I wouldn't want to drink it. Tom. Well, that's where you and her muck and brow differ, Dave. He hands Dave the crate. Here, stick that in the fridge. By the time they've got through all the good stuff and that bottle of vodka, they won't even notice. Dave. Why have I got to take it in? Tom. Because I've got a reputation to consider, mate. See you later. He exits. Dave looks cheesed off. Scene 12. Interior, Max and Doreen's lounge, night. Max is pacing. Doreen is watching TV and eating pieces of Turkish delight. Max looks at his watch. Max. 9:30. She should be here by now, shouldn't she? I mean, do you think she could have slipped past the door? Maybe she's down there now, testing things, probing into our nooks and crannies. Doreen. Max, you've done everything but put out an APB on the woman. If she's come through those doors, we'd know about it. And anyway, even if she had slipped under your iron curtain, our nooks and crannies have nothing to hide. Max. But you admit she could have slipped in. Doreen. Oh, for heaven's sake, go and search the building for her if it'll make you feel any easier. It'll certainly be easier on the carpet. You're wearing it out. Max. Right. He strides to the door, then stops. What if she's inspecting the ladies? Doreen. Our ladies have nothing to hide either. Max pauses a moment, then exits. Scene 13. Interior, ballroom, night. Punters throng about. Music booms over the PA from a CD. Max enters from behind the doors marked private and begins shiftily looking about. He walks among the crowd and arrives near the ladies' toilets. He goes to the door and hangs about until someone enters. He peers in over their shoulder and ducks back as it swings closed. He repeats this operation, and as a girl leaves, she gives him a funny look, and he looks in the other direction. Another girl approaches and pushes open the door. Max quickly looks over her shoulder. The girl stops and looks at him. Girl, can I help you? Max, no, I'm looking for an older woman. Girl, disgustedly, wanker. The girl goes in and slams the door in Max's face. Max falls back and realises other punters are staring at him disapprovingly. He attempts a dignified retreat and trips over the body of Simon, which is lying on the floor. Gavin, who is sober, is kneeling by Simon as Max crawls back to them. Max, what the devil do you think you're... What? How old are you two? How old is this boy? Gavin, he's 18. He's just not feeling well. Max, yes, well, he obviously overdosed on youth serum, didn't he? 18, my backside. Max sees Tom at the sound desk talking to Pete. Wait here. Max gets up and goes to Tom. Max, Tom, can you give me a hand a moment? I've got a paralytic teenager unconscious on the carpet. Tom, what would you want my help for? Sounds like you're doing all right on your own. Max, don't be disgusting. I mean the ballroom floor, a sick punter. If Irons catches us with an underage drunk on the premises, it'll be 60 lashes and a red-hot poker at both of our interests. Tom, say no more, Max. Where is he? Max leads and they go to Simon and Gavin. Max, right, Tom, you get his left side, I'll get his right. They squat down and lift Simon up between them, his arms over their shoulders. Tom, bloody hell. To Gavin, what's he been drinking? Gavin, vodka. I had a bit, but I don't really like it. He's had a lot, though. Max, oh, I can see that. Wait till I get my hands on those bar staff. They begin to move off. Simon moans. Tom, it's all right, mate. To Gavin, what's his name? Gavin, Simon. Simon Irons. Max and Tom freeze in horror. Max, what did you say? Gavin, Simon Irons. Tom, no relation to Councillor Irons. Gavin, yeah, that's his mum. Max, oh no. Max suddenly straightens bolt upright, causing Simon to slump towards him. Simon then vomits down Max's front. Max looks at this a moment, but the urgency of his situation renders it a mere formality. He looks up. Max continued. Quick, let's get him outside and into a taxi before she arrives. Tom, a taxi? Don't you think we should try and sober him up a bit first? Black coffee, slap round the face? Max, the only coffee that'll sober this brat up is a coffee-flavoured stomach pump. And as for slapping him, I'm afraid if I start, I won't be able to stop. Come on, let's get him outside. They drag Simon across the floor. Gavin stays behind. They push through the crowd, ad-libbing excuse-me's as they go. The bar is to their right. As they near the entrance door, Doreen comes up behind Max and taps him on the shoulder. Max, impatiently. What? Doreen. Max? She looks Simon up and down. The eagle has landed. Max. What? Doreen. You asked to be informed when someone arrived? Tim has just phoned upstairs. The eagle has landed. Max and Tom react. They look to the foyer. Cut to Councillor Irons walking in. She is a small woman, about 45 to 50. She has dyed hair, any colour so long as it looks dyed, and horn-rimmed spectacles. She wears a sensible coat and carries a clipboard. A handbag hangs from her right forearm. She is thoroughly unfearsome. She looks to the stage somewhat distastefully. She doesn't see Max and friends. Max. Oh my God. Max and Tom look at each other, then look back the way they have come. It is blocked with thronging punters. Max looks to the bar, where he sees a gap in the crowd. Max. Quick, to the bar! Max steers Simon and Tom towards the bar. Tom. Don't you think he's had enough, Max? Max. I'm not buying him a drink, you idiot! They reach the bar. Quickly, jump over the bar! Tom. What? Max. Jump over the bloody bar before Irons decides to pop over here and get around in. Tom clambers over the bar. Doreen joins Max as he anxiously looks back at Irons. The punters at the bar watch with interest. Sally finishes serving and rushes over. Sally. What's going on? Max turns to her. Simon is lolling against him, unconscious. For a moment, Max looks at her crossly. Then he takes Simon's head by the base of the skull and shakes it. Max grins insanely and talks through gritted teeth, ventriloquist-like. Max. Gottle of gear? Gottle of gear? Then, normally,
Sound familiar?
Sally, not comprehending, I'm sorry. Max,
Oh, you will be.
to Tom.
Here.
He pushes Simon's body over the bar. Tom grabs it and pulls it over, where it lands with a thump on the wet bar floor.
Now, get him out of here.
Tom,
What shall I do with him?
Max,
I don't know. Improvise. Take him out the back. Dump him in a ditch. Chop him up with a meat cleaver and flush him down the bloody toilet. Just get him out of here.
Tom gets Simon under the armpits and starts dragging him out of the bar. Doreen jabs Max in the ribs and hisses urgently in his ear. Doreen,
Max.
Max, turning sharply.
What?
Doreen smiles graciously in the direction of the crowd. Max follows her gaze and sees Irons approaching. He positions himself between Irons and the nearly removed body of her son. Max, graciously.
Councillor Ironfist. I mean Irons. How nice to see you.
Irons.
Mr. Price?
She looks disdainfully at the vomit on Max's suit before addressing Doreen.
Mrs. Price, you're very busy tonight. A familiar occurrence these days, I understand.
Max.
Oh, no. We're usually much quieter than this.
Irons.
Well, it certainly couldn't get much louder, could it?
Behind her, we see tonight's real guest band walk on stage and assume performance positions. Max. The band start. Irons makes a face and takes a gadget from her bag and starts taking sound readings. The performance is intercut with Max waving urgently at Pete and Pete cheerfully waving back. Tom dragging Simon's body into the kitchen and attempting to sit it upright on a chair. Every time Tom thinks he has succeeded and turns away to brew coffee, Simon's body falls off the chair to the left, cut to the band, then to the right, cut to the band, or forwards. Also, Max stabbing urgently at his ear, Pete understanding and twiddling with knobs on the sound desk. The song ends. Scene 14, interior, kitchen, night. Simon is sitting on the chair, now part conscious. Tom has one hand pressed to Simon's chest, the other is holding a cup of black coffee near Simon's face. Dave enters.
Tom. Come on, Simon. Drink some of this. It'll make you feel better.
Dave. What is it? Raw eggs and Worcester sauce? In response to this, Simon vomits on the floor. Tom.
Nice one, Dave.
Dave.
Well, that's what my dad has in the morning whenever he's got hangover.
Tom. Interested.
Does it work?
Dave.
Nah, he just can't be asked to cook breakfast.
Tom.
Listen, go and keep an eye out for Max and Ironfist. If you see 'em coming, give me a shout.
Dave.
All right.
He exits. Tom raises Simon's head by the chin, grimacing at the vomit on his fingers.
Oh, come on, Simon, have some coffee, will you? You'll feel better.
Simon takes the cup and looks blearily at Tom. He tries to speak and makes an inarticulate noise. Tom.
What?
Simon.
Gav, you're my best mate. I bloody love you.
He drops the cup. It falls from view and we hear it shatter. Tom looks tired. Scene 15, interior, ballroom, night. In between songs, the audience applauds. Irons turns to Max. Irons.
I'd like to speak to you somewhere quiet to discuss my readings, Mr. Price.
Max.
Shall we go outside?
Irons, incredulous.
It's raining.
Max tugs at shirt collar.
Well, it's so warm in here, isn't it? It'd be refreshing.
Irons, ignoring him.
Isn't your kitchen just through there?
She indicates doors marked private. Max.
Yes, but it's,
Max sees Dave by the doors marked private. Irons.
It's what, Mr. Price?
Max makes an urgent face at Dave, who nods and slips through the doors. Irons continues.
Are you all right?
Max.
No. I mean, yes. I'm fine, thank you. Yourself?
Irons.
I'd like to speak to you in your kitchen, please, Mr. Price.
Max.
The kitchen. Yes, of course.
He extends his arm.
Shall we?
Scene 16, interior, kitchen, night. Tom is gently slapping Simon's face. We hear Dave's shouting a moment before he runs in. Dave out of view.
Tom!
He enters.
Tom, they're coming!
Tom.
Bugger! Quick, get his other arm.
They each take one of Simon's arms and place them over their shoulders, then quickly lift him off the chair, which falls over. Dave.
Where are we going?
Tom.
The only place we can go, up Max's back alley.
Tom leads them to the back door. Simon.
Oh, just leave me. Leave me here. I'll be all right.
Tom. Well, it's nice to know someone will be. Come on. Tom opens the back door. It is pouring with rain. They proceed into the rain. Simon resists and falls over into some boxes and dustbins just outside the door, which tip over, spewing their contents all about them. Tom and Dave reach down and grab Simon. They pull him after them as they rush off down the alley. The camera stays on the open door from the kitchen as we hear Max, Doreen and Irons enter the central ground floor corridor. The muted music becomes loud for a moment as the door opens, then muted again as it closes. Max out of view.
Of course, Councillor. It's just this way.
Scene 17. Interior. Central ground floor corridor. Night. Max, Doreen and Irons walk slowly down the corridor in the direction of the kitchen. Max.
So, how did we do?
Irons.
Well, according to my readings, Mr. Price, you appear to be just within legal requirements, both inside and outside the premises.
Max.
Oh, marvellous. I felt sure we would, though. Didn't I, dear? We do take such pains to run a proper establishment, don't we?
Doreen.
Yes, Max.
Agonies. Irons.
Of course, you understand this is just a preliminary reading. I'll be in again on unspecified dates in the future to run further spot checks on.
She sees the mess in the kitchen.
What's that?
Max.
What's what?
Irons points into the kitchen.
Irons. That, there. It looks like.
She steps into the kitchen doorway.
It is. It's vomit.
Behind her, Max and Doreen exchange a look of horror and disbelief, which they drop as Irons turns to them. Doreen, brightly, all smiles.
Oh dear, so it is. I'll get a cloth.
She goes. Scene 18. Interior, kitchen, night. Irons steps into the kitchen and surveys the scene. The overturned chair, the smashed cup, the black coffee and vomit mingled in a horrible puddle. Max steps in behind her. Irons.
This is disgusting.
She begins writing on her clipboard.
Such a flagrant breach of the hygiene laws cannot go unmentioned in my report, Mr. Price.
Max.
But this isn't normally here. I mean, there's obviously been,
Irons.
A case of extreme food poisoning?
Max.
No, it was me.
He indicates drying vomit on his suit.
I've been unwell.
Irons.
I see. So you thought you'd better sit down in the kitchen, throw up into a mug of coffee and drop it on the floor.
Max.
Yes. Well, it was very sudden. I'm all right now.
Irons.
Good. Well, then perhaps you can explain why there's a tide of rubbish flowing in here through your open fire exit.
Max turns and sees various items of trash flowing in on a slow stream of muddy water through the open back door. He turns back to Irons, who starts writing on her clipboard. Scene 18. Interior. Backstage corridor. Night. The backstage fire exit opens and Tom and Dave pile in, supporting Simon between them. They are all wet. Simon.
Leave me. I'll sleep here.
Dave.
Where now?
Tom.
The dressing room. The band are still on stage.
They open the dressing room door and go in. Scene 19. Interior. Kitchen. Night. Iron stands in the doorway to the alley, writing on her clipboard. Max is wringing his hands. Irons.
Dustbins blocking a fire exit, not to mention the rubbish everywhere. I'm afraid this will all have to go in my report as well, Mr. Price.
Max.
Well, does it have to? They're not normally like this. Some cats must have knocked them over, probably chasing rats.
Irons looks up sharply. Irons.
Rats?
Max.
I mean cats. Cats chasing cats. Mating, you know?
Irons. They'd have to have been very big cats to knock these bins over. Max.
Well, it's a rough neighbourhood if you're a cat round here. They probably work out.
Irons looks at him strangely.
Or whatever it is that cats do to make themselves stronger.
Irons looks into the alley in the direction of the open backstage door from which light emerges. Irons.
What's that door down there?
Max, looking.
It's the backstage fire escape. Anything wrong? Irons. Why is it open? Is there a fire? Max, aside. Not yet, there isn't. Irons. Sorry? Max. Oh, nothing. The band are probably letting in a bit of fresh air. Irons. Well, let's see, shall we? She goes to step into the alley. Max. Really, Mrs. Irons, there's nothing down there that need concern you. Come and have a cup of tea and a biscuit. Irons. Every area in public use concerns me, Mr. Price. I don't believe I've seen your rear facilities in operation before. She steps into the alley and exits shot. Max, under his breath. Oh, you haven't lived, darling. Scene 20. Interior, backstage corridor, night. Irons steps in through the open door. She is wet, but there is a determined glint in her eye. Max steps in after her. Irons looks at the wet footprints on the floor. Irons. This doorway seems to have been in considerable use tonight, Mr. Price. Max. Well, there's nothing illegal about going outside, is there? Irons, turning sharply on Max. It depends on what you're going outside for, doesn't it? Drug taking, for example, is illegal. Max, aghast. I beg your pardon? Irons. Oh, I know what goes on in places like this. Lots of long-haired, skin-headed punk rockers taking drugs and being sick all over the place. She indicates the dressing room. In here, is it? The drugs den? Max, after a shocked pause. I am astonished that you could be so judgmental, Councillor. And no, it is the artist's dressing room, and I would appreciate it if you would respect their privacy and not go in there. Irons. Oh, I'm sure you would, Mr. Price. Irons opens the dressing room door and strides inside. Scene 21. Interior, dressing room, night. Tom sits on a lidded dustbin in the corner of the room while Dave is rearranging cans of Muckenbrow in the fridge. Simon is nowhere to be seen. Everything is very tidy and innocent. Irons has a wild look in her eye as she bursts in. Max stands quietly in the doorway behind her. Tom, brightly. Councillor Irons, what a surprise. Irons. Mr. Shepherd, I wondered whereabouts you were hiding. I saw your picture in the local paper. I can't say I'm surprised to find you're involved in this sordid business. Tom, innocently. What sordid business is that, Councillor? Irons, raging. Sex, drugs, rock and roll. Simon, muffled, out of view. Yeah. Irons looks about for the source of the voice. Dave. Yeah, rock and roll. Woo. Irons. Who else is in here? Max steps in from behind her and raises his hand. Me, I'm here. Irons. Someone is hiding in here. Tom. No, there's only us, Councillor, me and Dave. Simon, muffled, out of view. You guys are my best mates. Tom closes his eyes. Irons points at the bin. Irons. What's in that bin? Get off it. Tom. Oh, Councillor, my feet are knackered. I've been on them all day. Irons. Get off! Tom gets off the bin and moves away. Irons. All right, you in the dustbin. Come out with your hands up. Shakily, the bin lid rises on Simon's head. He feebly holds his hands up. Irons, thunderstruck. Simon! Simon, drunkenly. Hello, Mum. Irons. You're drunk! To Max. So, this is the kind of establishment you're running, Mr. Price, serving alcohol to minors. I'll have your licence for this. I'll have you shut down. And if there's any way possible, I'll see you hang. Max pleads. Oh, please, Councillor, this is all so uncharacteristic. It isn't normally like this. Simon. No, Mum. This place is cool. Simon tries to walk to her, but forgetting he's in a dustbin, topples over. The practically empty bottle of vodka falls from his coat and spins into the middle of the floor. Max, angrily. Where did you get that? Simon. It's Mum's. He points to Irons. Sorry, Mum. Irons, smiling, embarrassed. Oh, that's all right, dear. No harm done. Be quiet now. Simon. I didn't tell Dad. He still doesn't know you keep it in a toilet cistern. Max, a smile slowly spreading on his face. Oh, doesn't he? Irons. Simon! Simon. I'll buy you a new one, Mum. I mean, you can take it out of my pocket money. Tom. You know, you look like you could use a drink, Councillor. Tom goes to the fridge and removes a bottle of cheap vodka. Irons laughs. Oh, this is all quite absurd. Max.
Yes, isn't it, though? Perhaps we could discuss just how absurd it is with the local papers, Councillor. Elections are coming up soon, aren't they?
Irons. Look, perhaps we could come to some kind of an arrangement, Mr. Price. Max.
Oh, I'm sure we could, Councillor. I'm sure we could.
Tom, pouring vodka into glasses. How'd you like it, Janice? I'm afraid we haven't got any mixers back here. Irons pauses a moment, then opens her bag. There is a clinking of bottles. She removes a small bottle of orange juice. She smiles. Irons. Got any ice? The music you're listening to is called The Show Must Be Go by Kevin MacLeod. For more information, visit incomptech.com. Well, there it was, chums. Glitterballs episode 4. And I hope you enjoyed it. I don't know if you noticed in the story, and it would take a real fan of the show who's listened to episode 1 more than once to spot this thing, but Councillor Irons' line about long-haired, skin-headed punk rockers taking drugs and whatnot was actually a line of Max's from episode 1. Max said it to Tom, only, of course, in episode 4, Max is in Tom's position on the receiving end of the same line coming from Irons, and he's sort of making a defence of the situation that he was once attacking. So it's kind of a full circle thing, you see. Also, I know that no woman in her late 40s or early 50s in the 1990s looked anything like Councillor Irons. Maybe in the 60s they did, but certainly not in the 90s. I have no idea what I was thinking back when I wrote that description of her. I mean, I knew women didn't look like that. So I can only conclude that for some reason I thought it was visually amusing. And yes, I did think about changing the description when I was recording this, but in the end I decided that, I'd keep it the way I originally wrote it. Likewise, the dead racehorse joke would, I think, have been funnier if done on screen without seeing the horse fall and die. If we were to, not least of all because it's kind of hard to find that footage. If I were to do it now, I'd do it so that you see Tom and Dave's faces and those of the people in the betting shop behind them watching the television as we hear the commentator telling us what's happening, and then, like a close-up on Tom's face when the horse is announced as dead. But again, I opted to leave it in as it originally was. But as I say, if I were to rewrite it, then that's what I'd do now. But I'm not going to. I don't know. Enough, I say. It's a project from the past, Mike. Let it be what it was and don't fiddle with it. I'm like a parent talking to a child who's picking at a scab. But yes, so it's time then, once again, ladies and gentlemen, to close the doors on Glitterballs until we return to Dinglebury for episode 5, which is called Snowbound. And so, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening. Have a wonderful weekend. But from me for now, it's pip pip and cheerio.
Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, then please give it a like and maybe subscribe too. Why leave it to chance that we may meet again in this heaving, jostling crush of videos, all vying for your attention? Click subscribe and get notified whenever I post new content. Thank you.